All right, so I'm here with Ken Stouffer. We've been working a lot in the AI space as Salesforce partners, HubSpot partners, and really trying to learn and identify the best use cases for our customers. I think one of the things that we've both really honed in on is if we're not drinking our own champagne, that's a term that we like to use. If we're not using it for ourselves, then why recommend it to a customer? So we wanted to hop on here and just have a conversation a little bit about how we're using it, how we see AI being beneficial in our business, so that we can start framing it better to other businesses out there that might be interested in looking at how AI can work for them. How you doing today, Ken?
Doing good, man. Hanging in there. Work, work, work.
Work, work, work. It never ends. Any cool projects that you're working on, or whether they're
Yeah, a
AI or not
few.
AI, just cool stuff?
Yeah, there's a few things we've been working on lately that's been letting me kind of take a new direction and exploration within flows in Salesforce, which has been a lot of fun, and using flows with multi-part custom objects as well, to give us a new way to track data and track instances within something. So that's been one really interesting one that I've been working on. On the AI front, well, it kind of relates to it because how I was able to come up with some of it was through a really in-depth conversation with ChatGPT. So, a few things going on, and that being one of them.
Nice. How are you seeing customers behavior change? Are they asking for AI stuff? I mean, what do those sales calls look like these days?
They do, and most people that I'm talking to right now are more curious about how they're going to use it, and are trying to understand a good use case or a good use case for them to start exploring how they might be able to use AI a bit more. So they're starting to ask the questions for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we had a simple three-question interview that we wanted to hold here, and we'll just jump into it. And you'll reply with an answer, and I also have answers as well. So, three simple questions. We'll go down the list. You'll answer, I answer, kind of rapid style here. Full honesty, full transparency. Sound good?
Good. You
All
bet.
right, let's do it. Okay. So, question number one. What is the top skill sales professionals and marketing professionals should acquire or know about working with AI?
Oh, easy. Easy for me. Number one with the bullet has to be prompt writing. Understanding how to have a good conversation with an AI tool ensures that you're able to get the most out of the tool. And let me give you a couple of examples. You can put in, "Hey, I need to write this email, and it's for this audience," and be really brief. And what you're going to get back is probably going to be something that you're going to have to work on quite a bit. But if you can go into that same prompt around, okay, I have an email that's going out to 3,000 people, most of which are doctors working in this particular specialty. I really want them to attend this event that I have coming up. It's on so and so date and time. It shouldn't conflict with things that they have on their calendar because of X, Y, and Z, and so on, so on, and so forth. And I give it those additional details so that instead of spitting back some generic, you know, thinly worded email, I get something that's really specific to what we're doing, what I'm trying to accomplish, and how I want to get it done. And not only that, it can give me a few different iterations if it didn't quite understand maybe tone or something like that, and ask me to choose one. Or it may even produce something with a question at the end, which is also great because that can just help feed that loop, to keep the conversation going. And I think through that process, what you ultimately end up with is a much better output from the AI tools. Well, AI is getting dumber, and the replies it gives me, ask better questions sincerely. Spend some time in the model. And the way that I really proved this out, again, was typing something in, seeing what I got back, knowing that that wasn't quite what I was looking for. Well, what could I have told it? And then trying that and seeing how it replies. And the better you get at asking the questions that you need to ask and feeding it with the information that's relevant to you and what you're doing, you're going to get back some really good stuff. And don't take everything that it says, take it with a grain of salt, is what I say. Because until you read through it and make sure that the context and everything else is correct, you don't have an end working product, right? So take the time, feed it back, question it, talk to it. But for my money, Brandon, short and sweet, get really, really good at writing AI prompts. They keep on worrying about writers going by the wayside because AI is going to replace them. No. Writers are just going to be the ones who are going to be telling AI the story so that AI can do its best work and return us what we want.
Yeah, as a writer, you still need to tell the story. You still need to provide the color commentary of what you need that AI tool to do.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that I would add to what goes into really great AI prompting is putting guardrails on it and putting context around what you're asking it to do. Like you said, being able to tell your model specifically what that email is for, who that email is going out to. Those are kind of the basics. Even if you're looking at a tool like Salesforce, what Salesforce has done with Agentforce,
Yeah.
they say, we'll create a campaign for you with a brief, and you feed it your audience, you feed it some of those broad strokes. But it really still does come down to that creative human intervention, human at the wheel, saying specifically what's going to make this fun and what's going to make this engaging. While AI has gotten pretty good at making some guesses on what people like, as humans, we still understand our brand. We still understand what we want our message to do,
Mhm.
as well as what we don't want our message to do. So I would add a good part of prompt building is setting those guardrails, saying, do not use this kind of language, use this kind of language, speak in an active tone. If it's a formal event, you want your AI to give you a more formal response. Should it be casual? Depending on your brand, those are going to be one of the really big things, especially for marketers, is how well you nail your brand in these AI prompt generators. So I agree. I think understanding how to prompt, not being intimidated as a user, but
Mhm.
rather leaning in and embracing the technology and really thinking critically about how you can put your special sauce, what makes you you,
Mhm.
into the model to get amazing results, because the model isn't going to do that on its own.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's such an important point, Brandon, that, you know, about tone and what you're saying. How you the thing that you said there that really resonated with me is you know how you want to talk to your client. And that is so important. Don't let the model come back and tell you how to talk to your client. It should be reinforcing how you want to talk to your client and reinforcing that. So if you keep seeing those messages from your AI model coming back, that's taking you down a path that has you communicating with your client in a way that you know isn't right, well, don't be bullied by it. Don't say, "Oh, well, it's ChatGPT or it's this AI model. It's smarter than me." No, you know how you want to talk. No, that's not what I'm looking for, AI model. I'm actually looking for this. Don't be afraid to do that as well, and understand because you know how to talk to your client. You know what they should be hearing. Maybe it can just put the rounded edges on whatever it is that you're saying that make it more palatable, but don't let it take you off message. That's a really
Yeah,
great point.
totally. Totally. I agree. All right. Question number two. This is a personal question. What is your current favorite AI tool? And now, if you have more than one, I would just say go crazy, Ken. But what is your current favorite AI tool?
Well, there are several, and each one of them does something in particular. I do like for my day-to-day uses, though, I have a paid subscription to ChatGPT. I like their models, and I like that there are different models available, and I like that they're pretty clear about which models are good at what. Like you go in and you get the ChatGPT 4.0 model, right? Their basic model that most people who log onto the site are going to use. Great for everyday stuff. It's good for writing, ideas, task-based things, things like that. But I find that like when I'm going to go in and I'm going to build out either a flow in Salesforce, a workflow in HubSpot, when I want to really round out those ideas, I want a model that's better at reasoning and better at logic. And that paid version of ChatGPT gives me that with the O4 Mini and the O4 Mini High. There's O3 as well. All have different reasoning skills, so I can tap into that. And there is a difference. I built a flow using GPT 4.0 model, and it was good. It was a good flow, but I did have to correct it a bit more, right? As we went through it, I'm like, well, I don't think I can do that, and it wasn't as savvy on some of the UI changes. So I just literally switched over to the Mini High, O4 Mini High, which has a lot more reasoning, good at visual reasoning and coding as well. Went through the exact same exercise and got much different results, and found myself correcting a bit less as well. So while one model
Interesting.
might be really good at that conversational stuff that you're doing with it, there might be one, and you can see it happening in real time too. When you pump your prompt into the regular GPT model and you see it start pumping stuff out right away. Whereas in the O4 Mini, O4 Mini High, those higher reasoning models, you can watch the conversation happening. Well, it looks like Ken is working on so and so, and he's asking
Mhm.
about this, and he has some concerns about this. Now, if we go down this path, it might see this. That stuff flashes pretty quickly, but you can see what it's doing, right? The AI is reasoning with itself and reasoning with what it knows and what I've given it to give me a decent answer. And I thought that was a really interesting difference in using those two models for a real world application like building that flow. But yeah, I
Yeah.
managed to get through it quite a bit more quickly. But for my money, yeah, Brandon, I love ChatGPT's paid version. I don't think I'm spending $20 a month on it, maybe. And I think for what it is and the conversations I'm able to have with it in a lot of different venues or a lot of different topics, makes it a really useful tool for me every day.
Yeah. So, I think this is the not even the $1 million question, but probably the billion or the 100 billion or maybe even $1 trillion question is if you're sitting and you're working for a Salesforce or a HubSpot or even a Microsoft, and you're looking to say, all right, how do we feed in these wonderful AI models into our CRM or into our
Mhm.
marketing automation platform? Where is the most value? What does that end up looking like for you as a customer? If you were to be sitting at the round table with Benny Yop and all the big names there, and they're say, Ken, we need to take this thing to the moon. What do we add?
Um,
What does it need to do?
wow, that's a great question. I would say I wanted to keep stoking my creativity. I mean, for me and the way that we work, especially, when we talk about marketing and marketing automation, I mean, it's still a very creative thinking space. And there's a lot of people in it, which means that a lot of the same ideas are surfacing, right? They all read the same articles, they read the same industry rags that tell them that trends are going in this way, and we tend to follow those trends and do those things. So one of the ways that one of the things that I've been doing with AI, Brandon, is similar to, kind of following up on the second question, is having those conversations with an AI model. And I still think that even if you confine it to Salesforce's AI tools, you're still talking about something that you can have a conversation with. You're still talking about something that you can query, and now it's directly within your data. So
Mhm.
having it feed me back information that makes me think a little bit more too about maybe how I'm reporting on a particular thing. Like if I'm talking to it or having it produce a summary results, and a supporting report or dashboard, I can have it do all those things. But then I still have the ability to say, well, I'd really prefer if I could see it this way. Is that possible? And AI can do some of that heavy thinking for me and let me move through that process of maybe trying out this quick thing or trying out that thing and have it being reasonably low impact. Lets me be creative, lets me think creatively, and put some of that heavy, more data-driven thinking onto the platform itself rather than on me.
Yeah.
And I know that's a
Essentially,
little
that's
convoluted, but
no, I think that's spot on because essentially that's what Salesforce has provided in this version of Agent Force. Now, I imagine this whole thing evolves,
mhm,
but currently the whole the whole allure to this Agent Force is that it allows you to talk to these different models, these different LLMs, Chat GPT, Azure, bring your own if you're an organization that has
mhm,
developed your own. You could even tailor the kind of responses you want from these models and then leverage that Einstein trust layer. So when data is going out of your CRM, this data that's so important when it's actually going out to OpenAI or Microsoft or wherever it needs to go to get the job done, it's encrypted. So you're not worried about sharing that information that's unique to your business, or
mhm.
maybe there's HIPAA compliance, or it's financial information, things that shouldn't be shared unless there's consent to share them with these different places. So Salesforce has invested a lot in making this Einstein trust layer. And even now they're making their own RAG, right? So eventually, I think this goes to a place where everything is just happening inside of Salesforce. But you said something there that was really interesting, and that was being able to have this analysis on how things are performing. And I was thinking about this use case of just deliverability not going well. So, as an implementation partner, we're looking at all of the technical things. We've got our technical engineers, and everything has been authenticated, right? There's not a ton of spam complaints. Things like everything looks really normal, but there's this issue of emails getting sent to that junk folder.
Hmm.
And in the example here, and maybe you could provide better commentary on it, is the idea is okay, let's have Chat GPT in this case run an analysis on this email that we just sent out. So, Chat GPT, here's the content, here's the performance. Tell us what we could have done to make this work better. And with AI, I think what was really cool about that use case is you're doing it in a very conversational way, as if you were
Yeah.
talking to a colleague. You didn't have to be, a data scientist to pull a report. You didn't have to be a certified Salesforce admin to understand all of the different objects that this thing was talking to, right? You're doing it in a very conversational way. And I thought that was really interesting. Would you mind talking a little bit more about that and what went into that and what resulted?
Yeah, I found honestly that that's one of the most powerful tools that AI really gives us is the ability to do some analysis, and it can be a lot of different things too. So like for this use case, it was taking an email or a series of emails actually from one of our clients and trying to understand better why is this not getting through? Why is this always ending up in spam? Their domains are valid. We don't have spam complaints like you said. So what could it be? The wording looks decent. Things that we see that are pretty typical. And then we were able to pump those into an AI model and have it just give us some feedback. So I'm going to feed these in. Can you please just give me some analysis on why these might be ending up in the spam folder? And it did a really great job of that. So it read the emails all the way through the header, subject line, whole nine yards, the body of the email, in down below your signature, everything that might be there. So all things that are important to us, unsubscribe or preference center and things like that. Did an analysis on the entirety of the email and gave me feedback about every single piece. Well, the use of icons here could be causing it to go to spam. The use of all caps for this particular word is often identified with spam. So it was like, oh, holy cow, well, that's fantastic. So I was able to go through, take a second look at the entirety of that email and pick out all the places where this might cause a problem. Now, the next thing that I did was, all right, just how cleanly or how quickly can I clean this up? Hey, GPT, can you take a stab at rewriting this for me in a way that would make it more deliverable? And of course, it's going to, right? So I was able to take a look at it, but because it had the context of several emails that I had shared all having issues with deliverability, it knew the issues I was having and was able to pump out what looks like it's going to be a pretty clean email. Now, the proof will be in the pudding, so it'll
Yeah.
be interesting when we finally get those back, but just the few minutes that it took me to go through that process gives me some hope that maybe I can kind of get out of this little funk that I've been in with having some deliverability issues with those emails. So that's a big one. But I would say anytime that you have a tool like this, Brandon, where you can ask it good questions about your data, bless you, and have it give you some good feedback, that's good. So another use case just for AI tools, say in your Salesforce instance, would be being able to ask complex questions about your data and seeing how it can return it, right? It's not going to rely on you having to be able to build out that report or do that thing. It's going to come back and it's going to tell you, I can't build that report because these two objects aren't linked, or I can't do this, or I can't do that because of this. And you can go in, you can take a look and take steps to fix those issues so that you can build those reports and can get that back. But right
Yeah,
now,
totally.
with what you got available, isn't it cool that you can type in, can you just give me some feedback right now on my open opportunities and give me a sense of where I am, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to give you back something that's meaningful to your data, which is really powerful.
Yeah, one of the things that I have really been digging on, I don't know how well you can see it, but is the Salesforce mobile app.
Hmm.
Because when you have Agentforce built onto it, you can hit this microphone, like, show me all open opportunities. So one of the things that's been just a dream for sales folks for forever, and I remember this going back to, early 2000s in my first sales jobs, is you'd get these salespeople that would, oh, when it gets to the point where I could just talk to my CRM and it just gives me what I want,
Hmm.
that's the sweet spot. And I think what's most exciting about all of this that's going on is we are right there,
Yeah.
right? So like what you just saw, I can talk voice to text. The text can put the query in, AI does its work on the background, and it's giving you results. And you're absolutely right. If it's not able to give you results, that's where folks like us and partners like us can be that technical arm and say, okay, Ken, Agent Force was not able to connect those dots because those dots don't exist. But let's create a custom agent action. And now,
Hmm.
with the creation of some of these really tailored agent actions, we're able to take Agent Force and fill in those gaps. And that's really been my philosophy on helping businesses understand how and where they can use it.
Hmm.
Is step one, just turn it on. Not don't turn it on for everyone because it's consumption based, but before you turn it on for everyone, turn it on for the people who are just really interested, your top people, or maybe that salesperson that you really believe in, but it's just having some issues. Let them see the benefit of having AI working inside of their CRM for them. Because that's, I think, the biggest thing is this is AI working for us, not us working for AI, right?
Hmm.
And then you'll be able to see what the gaps are, and then those use cases are going to come to light. A big one that we recently rolled out with a deployed agent, again, internal agent being used. You've got a sales team that's using opportunities. One issue that always seems to come up over and over and over again is salespeople not entering data, right? So we created an agent action that allowed a sales rep to take a look at their opportunities, and then with that agent action, add a contact to a contact role, right? Oh, show me my open opportunities. Okay, here's Cypress. And then on my AI generated opportunity review, oh, it lets me know that there's no contacts associated with this opportunity. I'm doing all of this with AI and AI reviews. Oh, add Ken Stouffer to that opportunity. Hit boom. And it's automatically doing those steps. And I think that's where this stuff really starts getting cool as an internal tool, is getting those sales users adopting it more, getting those sales users who are, they're more conversational by nature. They're more talk to me, I need things quickly. More and more they're on the move. So building value in the fact that it's this mobile app. You don't need to be bogged down by having your laptop or your desktop and be in the office. And they can just be talking to it on the fly and having these things happen on the fly. I'm a business owner. Yes, Agent Force, go ahead and improve that invoice. Yes, go ahead and improve that escalation. Doing it all on the go with prompts, with voice, and just having it work. I think that's going to be the most exciting thing of where this all goes.
Yeah. I don't think that we're so like as a kid, now if you're old enough like I am to have seen that the Star Trek movie where they go back in time to save the whales, right? And you see Scotty talking into a mouse because of course they're from 500 years in the future. He's talking into a mouse trying to get the computer in 1990 something to do what he wants. And it was a funny moment. Oh, how quaint. We got to use a keyboard, right? He's not just talking into it. But we're getting there. We are so close to being able to talk most of our instructions into a device and have it
Mhm.
execute on those instructions.
Yeah. And that
And to
comes from
me,
the
I mean, as a
reasoning, right?
kid, I'm
Yep,
you're
the
like, what?
device is able to listen. So
Yep.
voice to text has been around for a while, but now on the
Yep.
back end of that, now the device is able to reason, say, what is it that Scotty is asking for? And then it's able to
Exactly.
give you an output based off of its reasoning. That is the future. That's where this is going.
Yep.
And I think when you think of it in that terms, it's really not that scary. It really isn't, this thing is going to replace me and go to a conference and have a conversation with Ken instead of me. I don't think it's going that way at all. Even when we see the use cases for coding, right? Maybe writing a code or writing an application, the creative pieces still need to come from a human, from a person.
I agree.
And people are the ones that still need to consume it um, for businesses to be applicable. So,
And so far, we've been really good as humans in recognizing the difference between what's produced by another human being and what's produced by AI. I mean,
yeah,
for a lot of instances, I won't say it's foolproof because it's not, but my goodness, it's the human brain is a pretty incredible thing in that it can see this thing created by AI and go, not quite something right there. And I agree with you 100%. There's always going to probably need to be, we're going to be in the mix somehow.
yeah, yeah.
It's
All
going to
right,
get
I've got
easier
time
for us to
for
do some of that, but interesting.
totally time for one more question, and this is a bonus question, more of an opinion. What is your opinion on AI generated content for marketing? And by content, specifically videos and images with fake AI people, fake AI places. Is that a yes or a no? A yay or a nay on the usage of that?
I still think that that's I think it still depends on the use case, and I'll tell you why. Because I think that in the same way that you've seen AI generated or computer generated people in movies, that's acceptable, right? I mean, think about movies like Troy, where you have 500 warships and 10,000 people hitting the beach. Well, we don't have 10,000 extras, and we don't have 500, you know, medieval warships to cross the Aegean. So they did a lot of that with computer generated people. Well, I think that AI is going to fall into that same space. It's computer generated people. Is it okay? Well, it depends. I mean, if those are background players and they're extras and they're not based on anybody in particular, sure. If it's a frontline person talking to the camera, I'd prefer that that be a human being. So I still think you're going to see things that are really going to be subjective there. I think some of those will fall along ethical lines, and then that'll be the answer. Now, where your ethics lie, maybe that's a bigger question. But for me and for the way that I operate, I'm always going to be more comfortable operating on probably a little bit more of the conservative side of that, thinking that I don't think it's really okay to go and steal Mark Hamill's identity to have him be in my ad, and use a version of his voice and a version of his likeness in my ad or my advertisement that way. I don't I think that there's always going to be some questions about whether or not that's really ethical. So for producing it, for the ideas, storyboarding it, things like that, I am all in. I want to be able to be the best creative version of myself. And being able to mock things up and maybe use AI to give me some of those hints as to what that could look like would be great. But taking that, somebody else's likeness and somebody else's sounds and using that for my purposes, particularly if I'm in a selling mode, I'm never going to be comfortable with something like that. So, how we do things or where it's presented, Brandon, I'd say probably for me is where I want to draw some real distinctions as to what's going to be consumer facing versus maybe how I'd use it internally to help stoke my own ideas of creativity.
Awesome. Ken, thank you so much for your insights, for your time. We will be editing this out and posting it up on our YouTube channel, and it'll be real humans. It won't be AI generated versions of ourselves. That's going to be a few years out still. But thanks again. And Ken, for us, it's back to work.
Heck yeah.
All
Have a
right.
good one, man. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you.